Parasyte was one of my favorite animes. It appeals to me, completely appeals to me. There's a character, he starts as a nobody and he becomes something different, something great. And that's what I love about anime. Not only that someone becomes something great, something strong, something supernatural who has been normal before, but I also love seeing development of a character. I just love it. I like seeing the progress, and I always immerse myself into the character when that happens. And that is what happens in Parasyte. Shinichi is just a normal boy, and one day there was this parasite who got into Shinichi's body, and Shinichi somehow managed to keep the parasite in his arm so that the parasite couldn't take over the total control of his body. And the parasite, which then was his hand, was a real living being. It was a real living being. It could talk, and it was really intelligent. Because the parasite was from then on part of Shinichi's body, they had to work together. And because of that, a great friendship developed. And that was another thing that I liked so much about that anime. I love great friendship, like ideal, the perfect friendship. That's actually something that I always strive myself for. So that makes me immerse even more into the anime. It's like the ideal life, in my opinion. You're not alone anymore, you have the perfect friend, a soulmate, and on top of that, you become super strong. And this friendship thing is it's just so great for an anime. So great. This aspect with the friendship combined with the protagonist getting superpowers, we also find in one of my other favorite anime, and that is Death Note. Just like Yagami Light gets superpowers, you can say, when he gets the Death Note, and he makes a great friend called Ryuk. Ryuk and Yagami Light are dependent on each other because Ryuk is this Shinigami that attached to the Death Note. The Death Note is originally his. And once Yagami Light finds the Death Note, this Shinigami accompanies Light from then on. And I just love this. When I watched Parasyte and got to know about the great friendship that Shinichi had with Migi who was, and I saw it was about Shinichi getting the superpowers, I immediately knew that this anime would be awesome. Now, the anime also has flaws. It's not as perfect as Death Note, but because of all these good elements that I have mentioned, even with the flaws, it's still an extremely good anime. Now let's have a look at the flaws. There were some things that I didn't like about the anime, and that was, for instance, that Shinichi, the main character, had a couple character flaws. I don't know, this was just his behavior sometimes that bugged me, like how he talked to other people. I don't remember in detail, maybe, he acted a couple times bad towards his parents, I think, or his mother, but I could understand that a little because something was going on in his body. He was changing. That was due to the invasion of the parasite or something. But there were also some parts that made me disconnect from the character a little. Unfortunately, I don't remember them, but all in all, it didn't let me identify myself with the main character totally. That was the thing. And he was a bit of a lame character. like almost as if he didn't deserve the superpowers. It was more like he stumbled over that luck. It was not like he was meant to get it, you know. It was like he wasn't destined to become something great, or yeah, not like in Death Note, Yagami Light, who actually was a brilliant character. Yagami Light knew what to do with the power. He was creative, he had visions, he had purpose, but Shinichi was just like a random guy. There was nothing special about him, nothing that made him stand out from the crowd. His voice was okay. It wasn't an awesome voice like most of the voices in Death Note, but the voice wasn't that bad either. But it was a little lame, but that at the same time it made me maybe sympathize with the character a little. So I would give it an okay. It was okay. It was not like, it wasn't unfitting, let's say this. And the story wasn't perfect either. There were a lot of flaws, lots of scenes I really disliked. Really unnecessary stuff, like in school, unnecessary stuff. That's the creator of Death Note were a bit smarter. They left out unnecessary school stuff like trouble with other students and shit. In Death Note they were smart enough not to show that unnecessary stuff. It's just meaningless. A great person should not have to deal with that. And unfortunately, they put in such scenes in Parasyte so that the viewer had to go through that shit. And even these situations did Shinichi not handle well. It's like there are scumbags who are being douchebags towards him, and he basically lets them get away with that. I mean, he does something, but it's not enough. It's just like nothing. What does he do when he has trouble with someone? And there are some idiots who try to mess with him, and he maybe just demonstrates his power, and then they are scared and they run away, but he lets them escape. What's that? He has all these powers and he doesn't use them. If some shit had happened to Yagami Light in Death Note, these guys would be dead at the same day. So that was something I really disliked about the character. The lameness, basically. The lameness. In my opinion, the guy didn't deserve the power. It made me angry. I see some douchebags messing with him. And he's basically like a teacher who says, don't do that. And that was the lesson. Yeah, and things like that made me disconnect from the character. That was the sad thing about that anime. What I liked about the anime was also the fight scenes. They were awesome, underlined with a great music. And the music, the whole soundtrack was pretty good in general. The music fitted. There's nothing to complain about there. And yeah, that's the fight scenes. Extremely exciting. You never knew how it would turn out. Often when I thought the fight would turn out in a certain way, it turned out different. So yes, the fights had a lot of surprises in them. That was interesting. These were the reasons why the anime is one of my favorites. And an anime that I'll never forget. Thanks for watching.